The Brazilian stock market crash. That's what we're discussing today, along with the Brazilian real, which actually was the worst performing currency in 2020, and it's not looking so hot moving into 2021. So this is something that's very, very important. Essentially, over the weekend, at the time of recording this, by the way, we could have seen changes. If you're watching this a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now, you'll be able to look back on this. But time of recording this, it is February 23rd of 2021. So just want to make that clear. Basically, this weekend, what we saw was Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, actually firing the CEO of one of the largest companies in Brazil, which is very important to understand. Just kind of as an aside real quick, the company was PetroBus, but essentially Bolsonaro was elected, and he was elected about 3 years ago. When he came into office, he was promising, oh, like I'm, a free market guy, more of like, a bit more like capitalist, focusing on building businesses, all these different things, really improving the economy. And with this, you saw a lot of foreign investors injecting capital into Brazil, getting into things like ETFs, things like real estate, all these different things, basically investing in companies. And the Brazil economy actually has a lot riding on the price of oil. So the reason Bolsonaro actually fired the CEO of Petrobras, which again is very important to understand, is it wasn't because this guy was doing a bad job. Actually, the CEO was doing very, very well. The CEO has done incredible. But Bolsonaro's ratings, the public ratings of the president, were going down. And this is significantly because of his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. And in these times, you see truckers actually going on strike because of this. And with the oil prices rising, we actually saw, a bit of a dip last week in the oil prices. Now we're seeing it $60 plus. And, just last year it was like almost, it was below 10. Really insane with oil. Congratulations if you made the nice trade there. But essentially what you want to understand is he was telling the Petrobras CEO to literally lower the price of oil. So again, this is like a huge deal because this is market manipulation. This is essentially not a free market thing. This is more of a dictatorship thing. Okay, so again, this is just a high level overview. If you want to see more of like technical in-depth video, I would record like an hour-long video going into the details of this like geopolitical situation with oil, Bolsonaro, CEOs, capitalism, all these different things. But we're trying to keep this short and sweet. So I am drawing generalizations here, but this is just essentially what you need to understand to kind of maybe make a play in the Brazilian stock market, which a great ETF is EWZ. So this is essentially an ETF if you don't have a brokerage account in Brazil, which most likely right now you're going to have to fly to Brazil to open a brokerage account with a bank and start trading like individual stocks, but you can basically get exposure with EWZ. And this is one that you want to actually really analyze. So when the CEO did not basically lower the price of oil, Bolsonaro was like, hey, my ratings aren't good. We have all these drivers on strike and kind of social unrest in general. He basically blamed it on this CEO, is what you want to understand. So the CEO was not going to comply. He said, no, this isn't a dictatorship. Essentially, I'm not going to make this happen for you just because you need this for ratings. So Bolsonaro fires this CEO. Now, the whole political scene sees this because this is a public company. This is, if you look on the EWZ, the ETF, it's one of the top ones that's down with oil rising. So essentially commodity backed stocks, so like commodity producers, so for example like gold or silver producers, it's the same with oil. As the actual commodity itself rises, typically you see the commodity producers actually rise a little bit above it. And because things like gold and silver are pretty stagnant, but if you have especially like junior miners, for example, in gold, or smaller like oil rigs, you see these rising a lot more because the market cap is so much smaller than the total market cap of the commodity. So that's just kind of how that works in summary. And you should see this PetroBus stock go up in value, but it went down. So it inversed the price of oil. Oil went up, breaking around the $60 level. And this is very, very interesting. So along with this, the Brazilian real is not doing so hot. As I said in the beginning of this video, it was the worst performing currency in 2020. And, moving into 2021, we're only in February, the second month. We haven't even finished Q1, and we've seen insane things in the market. I mean, it's just been a crazy year overall. So I think what an interesting play would be the Brazilian real, if you don't know, is not actually part of the dollar index. So it all depends, like, what are you basing this off of? So when people, for example, say like, oh, the dollar is going down, based on what? It's not just these things don't happen in a vacuum. Is it going down based on gold? Is it going down based on the euro? Is it going down based on the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Singapore dollar? Is it going down versus the lira? I'm here in Turkey, and the lira has actually fallen under some heat in 2020, and I think it has more room to drop. But you can't just say the lira is going to drop. It's going to drop against the U.S. dollar, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, we're going to see massive inflation either way, and the fact that this currency is going down is not good. I personally, I tried to keep it pretty objective there for the most part, just so you understand that essentially Bolsonaro pressured the CEO into dropping the price of oil with this PetroBus company, the largest company of this style in Brazil. The CEO refused. Bolsonaro fired him. Now, foreign investors all saw this happening, okay? Because we are living in somewhat of a free market, mostly a free market. But when foreign investors see this, who injected capital in, when Bolsonaro got in, they're going to go, hey, what the hell? And you can see this already happening. What the hell is this? This is not free market. This is not capitalism. This is a dictatorship. If he's really doing this and firing company CEOs based on them not complying with his demands, just his political demands, this is not good for my money. Why would I invest here? So a lot of people are selling and pulling out cash. This is why you're seeing a lot of drop in Brazil, and this is not good for the overall economy because, again, this kind of a rise of Brazil, this kind of invest Brazil narrative about 3 years ago was a lot due to Bolsonaro and kind of this new political regime. Like, this is going to be great, more free market, more capitalism, and yeah. So with this, it's going to take, what you have to understand is countries are like big aircraft carriers, or like the Titanic. Like, it's hard to move them so fast, and it's the same with Brazil and the United States, and a lot of European countries are especially this way, where if they're really trying to shift, it's going to be bad. So like, once Bolsonaro started doing this, it's going to keep moving in this direction, in my opinion. Whereas a lot of investors, like independent investors who are going in, they're like jet skis. So you can turn on the dime, like with a jet ski. So let's say Brazil's this big aircraft carrier going this way, and you're the jet ski, you can flip out of the direction and get out of there. You can sell and boom, be out. But Brazil is stuck in its own economy. It's stuck in the real currency. So they have to change things themselves. And basically Bolsonaro could come out and go like, hey, this isn't true, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, when, let's say you have someone close to you that you trust, and they break this big promise, like they're like, oh, I'm gonna be better, blah, 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 and they break this promise. And then the next day they're like, oh, no, I promise, next time it'll be better, next time. This is like the famous last words, right? This is basically the situation that Brazil is in with Bolsonaro. So it's a complicated situation. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. The Brazilian stock market crash, I think it's just the beginning, honestly. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see a recovery very soon, or a buyback because of this situation. I mean, it's always probabilities, right? So let me know in the comments what you think about this, if you're trading the real. Also, if you got into EWZ, the ETF, if you're selling, if you're buying back at these dips. I would be waiting for a much further dip personally. But yeah, let me know what you think of this kind of topic. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel to keep up to date, and then hit the notification bell because this is time-sensitive content. You don't want to be watching this and holding the EWZ ETF, maybe 6 months from now when it drops even further. You want to stay up to date with our time-sensitive content, so that's why the notification bell is key. So like, subscribe button all. As always, invest global, and until next time.